Hello, Matt Malatesta here with Matthew Ogle. We want to talk about the Whataburger Team of the Week. Man, what a tremendous season and tremendous week was had by Elsik. They've reached and advanced to the state championship game. Huge 2 wins last week. Talk about them. We talked to Coach Vincenzo Cox. Great guy, great coach. He's really the beacon of light for that community. But how'd they do it?
Well, I mean, as you said, they had 2 incredible games. First off, knocking off the defending state champs. Not only did they do that, they wiped the floor with them. No offense to Seven Lakes, but it was 5-1 by the end. And honestly, I feel like they could have scored more. They really showed what they were made of there. And then they followed that up with a 1-0 tight win against Vista Ridge this past Friday. And I like the way I've been seeing them. Coach preached a lot of, he built up all these players that he was talking about, like Chris Guillen, Jacob Adornes, Michael Ochoche. Sorry if I mispronounced your names here, but I mean, y'all are rolling and y'all have only dropped 2 games all year. They're 24-2, and I really like their chances against Klein Kane. That is why they are our VYPE Whataburger Team of the Week.
Kudos to them. Elsik, we're pumped for you. Also, Klein Kane from the city of Houston. Great job by them getting to the state finals also. But they take the cake. They didn't take the cake. They take the burger. The Whataburger Team of the Week are our Elsik Rams. All right, so Elsik is our Whataburger Team of the Week. But man, there's so many great state championship games. We'll get into those for soccer, boys and girls. But, dude, marquee matchup. Klein Kane, first time ever. Elsik goes back after winning it a couple of years back, I think 2018, 2019. What do you see in this matchup?
Well, I see old power versus new power in terms of Elsik, as you did mention. They last reached the state tournament in 2019, last won it in 2018. And as we talked about during the Whataburger section, they are 24-2. They really haven't shown any signs of slowing down throughout this postseason, particularly against bigger teams like Seven Lakes, like Vista Ridge. But you can't knock out the way that Klein Kane has been playing. Unprecedented success that they have experienced. They recently took down Plano West in a penalty shootout for the ages. Then before that, they defeated Bridgeland. Region 2's got a lot of those Dallas powers, so that's what I'm most impressed by. They were able to outlast it throughout this postseason, because you're going to be facing some giants early on, especially with the new playoff structure. But hats off to Coach Jerson Carrasco and the way that they've been progressing this year. Really cool that we have 2 campus clients in the final, and it's great that we know at least we got 1 guaranteed Houston victory.
So, I'm going to put you on the spot. Who wins this game?
I think Elsik wins it 2-1.
Boom. All right. I'm going to say Elsik. I think they win by 3. I think they're going to win. I think they're going to do some really great connected soccer, if that makes sense. What is kind of cool is Coach Cox has said, we've had way more talented players over the past. This is a very good team unit, and they play really well together. You can see just the highlights of them and just seeing them on the field. It seems like they're kind of having fun out there, which is a big part of it also. And the community's really rallied around Elsik as well. But hey, again, like you said,
they got the chemistry down for sure.
Chemistry. But Klein Kane, who would have thought? That's awesome for them. Let's stay in the boys' side. Vandergrift wins a state championship in football. Now they could win a state championship playing Mesquite in soccer and or football. What other games do you like?
I do really like, if we wanted to keep talking about Houston, the only other Houston team that made it, I do like the Stratford versus Flower Mound Marcus girls 6A Division II. They're going to be the opener that Saturday at Birkelbeck. And Stratford, hats off to them, reaching state for the first time ever. Flower Mound Marcus, this is the 8th time they've been to the state tournament. And this is going to be, they're looking for the 3rd ever championship. But Stratford They've been progressing very well this year. Coach David Walters has done a really great job at optimizing the talent on that level. They have to do a lot of veteran presence there, which pays dividends. The same can be said for Marcus, which is a well-established power in the Dallas area. They just took out Forney in the week before, no, same week. I think it was Tuesday. They took out the state champs, Prosper. I really want to say Marcus wins this, but you never know. I'd like to see Stratford do it. I mean, obviously we got to stay impartial here, but I'm really excited for that one. That's going to be a great way to open the day.
Okay, so here we go. We're going to run through it. And when we're going to make a note, we're going to clip this because I'm going to be right. I'm going to dominate you in these hits. Okay, here we go. On the girls' side, Wakeland plays Cedar Park. I'm picking Cedar Park. You pick?
Wakeland.
Okay. Heritage versus A&M Consolidated. I'm going Consolidated.
I'll go Consolidated.
Yes, you will. Stratford versus Marcus. Matt goes Marcus.
I go Marcus.
Okay, fair enough. And finally, Capel versus Lake Travis. Who are you picking?
I'm picking Capel.
I'm picking Lake Travis. So there we go. We got some difference makers. That's on the girls' side. On the guys' side, Kane, Elsik. We both go
Elsik.
Blessed. Then we're going to say Mesquite versus Vandergrift. I'm going to say Vandergrift.
I'll go Vandy.
Okay. And then Southwest out of San Antonio playing Walnut Grove.
I'm going to go Walnut Grove.
Me too. Dadgummit. All right. And then
Dallas tends to have a really, I mean, they swept us in basketball. I wouldn't be surprised if they have a major, at least some advantage whenever it comes to soccer. They've done it in the past. So I wouldn't be surprised. They know what they're doing there.
Highland Park versus Liberty Hill is our last game.
I'll go with the Scots.
All
Highland
right.
Park.
I'll go with the Scots too. All right. So we're going to clip this. We're going to see who came out ahead. Who really knows soccer? I think it's going to be Matt. Get it? It could be either one of us. Yes, got it. All right. So, hey, Soccer Report. Follow us on all of our social media channels. Alex Henson, Matthew Ogle will be at the games. They'll be at State. So follow us on all that. It's going to be super cool. And like and subscribe as well to all of our YouTube channels. Just one, really. And all of our social media channels. All right. See you next time. This is Matt and Matt. We'll see y'all at the games. Okay, so we transition from soccer to football. Football, always a common thread in the world of VYPE. We're talking high school recruiting. For football, always big news. We bring on Jackson DePasquale to talk about some of the hottest names, A. B, the hottest schools that are offering these kids and where these kids might end up going. Okay, so we'll go through a few guys, but let's talk about North Shore had a massive class last year. Caleb Maryland, the quarterback, is getting a bunch of offers. Of course, Chase Calicut is getting a bunch of offers. But there's two other guys that are starting to pick up offers, young offensive linemen. Tell us about them.
Yeah, so there's two 2027 offensive linemen. These were two kids that we got to see at spring ball last year, and they definitely stood out. You had Deuce Cone, who's a 6'6", 315-pound tackle, and then Chase Brown, who's 6'5", 305. So very easy to see why these guys stood out to us. But Cone saw varsity playing time this year. He picked up his first offer from Colorado this past week. Also, Chase Brown picked up an offer from Colorado this past week as well. I don't believe he got too much playing time on varsity, but because of how senior heavy they kind of were on the offensive line, this next year he's going to be needed. And these two guys could be two huge pieces for North Shore's offensive line next year to really establish that run game and protect Caleb Maryland, who's being a highly recruited quarterback right now.
And you know, every year you're thinking, oh my gosh, North Shore's down, but they just keep coming at you because of the depth in the freshmen. And what they do is they play kids. If you can play, you're the best player, you're going to play. And these guys will be what? Sophomores next year?
Juniors
next year. So they didn't get a lot of playing time. This year, they're going to be those guys, I think. Okay, so we went out to go see Kennedy Brown, Kingwood's super offensive lineman. He's picking up some national stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, he has been, but now it's really rolling.
Oh, yeah. He picked up offers from Georgia, Alabama, North Carolina, and Auburn this past week. Obviously, all of those are huge, kind of big-time offers, big SEC offers. You got Bill Belichick, who's now at North Carolina. That's a big offer. Auburn's been recruiting pretty well lately as well. And then he also was at Clemson on a spring practice visit, I believe, over the weekend. So he's definitely starting to heat up as far as, heading over to some big time campuses. I know he said he had planned to hit some other schools in the spring, but it's just going to keep, offers is just going to keep rolling in for this kid. You can see the D1 talent he has, good leader, smart kid. I think this is going to be an easy one for a lot of schools to pull the trigger on.
And those are three big offensive linemen on that east side of town. We've seen how many great offensive linemen that area has produced over time. We won't bore y'all with that. But Kenny Brown, what I was impressed with him is he's a mature kid. Like he's a mature sophomore going to be junior. So what that means is, man, when he's in the room with these college coaches, he's very, very impressive. And he's not really intimidated by the moment, maybe. I think he's going to be, a great player. You did a great story on him about, his journey to now. And probably that's why he's getting all these offers, because VYPE did such an amazing story on him. Okay, who else do we like?
Yeah, Jaden Warren, Iowa Colony, 4-star wide receiver. He just dropped his top 6 schools. He's got SMU, TCU, Houston, Texas A&M, Nebraska, and Oklahoma in the mix for him. He clocked a 10.5 700 meter recently in a track meet. This is a kid who's an electric playmaker. Got banged up last year, so he didn't get to play the full season. But I believe if you check the stats, I believe he had 18 touchdowns or 14 touchdowns on 23 receptions last year, which means he's basically scoring every time he touches the ball. So he's a big playmaker. Expects a strong push over the next few weeks and few months at official visits for schools to gain his commitment.
If you don't think that college recruiters are watching the times come in from the track meets across the state and across the country for that matter, they are locked into that, because that's the biggest commodity you can have is speed. And these football players that are running for their track teams, it's a big feather in their cap when they can hit some of these times, because it goes immediately out on social media. And that is basically congruent to the number of offers they pull.
And also, I mean, you look at the draft, and you look at a college program, for example, Texas. Texas had 3 kids run sub 4.5 in the 40-yard dash at the combine. All 3 of those kids boosted their stock, whether they had a big time statistical season or not. The NFL wants speed. They want that fast 40 time. NFL offenses want the speed. The defensive back rooms want the speed. So really, speed kills in the college level and the pro level. So track times are definitely very important. You're seeing that evident in how teams are recruiting certain kids.
Speed equals money. And I said congruent earlier. I never thought we would have the word congruent in a podcast, which was weird. Okay, anybody else that we'd love to talk about, or that's kind of hitting that scene from this area?
Yeah, kind of southeast Texas area we're going to go. We're going to go Port Arthur Memorial 2026 4-star linebacker Tank King has set a commitment date. He's one of the top, I believe, the top linebacker in the state of Texas right now. Commitment date is set for July 4th, and he will be deciding between Tennessee, Texas, Notre Dame, Texas A&M, Oklahoma, Michigan, Alabama, Arkansas, Nebraska, and Oklahoma State. I would say that the Texas schools and Notre Dame might be the schools to watch out for here. This is a kid who's made multiple trips up to Texas A&M recently, multiple trips up to Texas recently, also just made a trip up to Notre Dame, I believe, in the past few weeks. So I would look out for those 3 programs right now to be making more strong pushes, as he's got official visits coming up late April, early May, and he looks to commit in early July.
Port Arthur Memorial, another place with tremendous speed. They live on speed because they have a tremendous track program as well. But talking to Coach a couple of years ago, he was so high on this kid as like a sophomore or freshman after his freshman year. Like he's a can't miss guy. And they've just had so much talent coming out of that Golden Triangle. He's just going to be the next one. I know we've done some stories recently also. Just, a couple of teams that I see that are recruiting this area pretty well is Kansas.
Yes.
And Kansas State, which is, I guess, they're kind of off the beaten path, but they've had some success in pulling kids from Houston.
Yeah, you saw the DB a few years ago, Jacoby Davis from North Shore. He was a part of a pretty star-studded defensive back room at North Shore. He's there. Dacus Brinkley, who's a former VYPE cover boy for Katy, he's there. You also look at just the statewide in general. You have Westlake wide receiver who name is slipping my mind right now, but he's there as well. So they recruit the state of Texas actually pretty well, and they go in and find like good solid pieces. And then you look at Kansas State, they're another school that always seems to be hopping around inside the state of Texas. So both those two programs. Arizona State is the one that I feel like a lot of people sleep on. Arizona State and the state of Texas. They've come into Texas and taken some really solid pieces over the past few years. I think they're in the mix for a few of their kids here in Houston, so we'll be kind of watching that as kind of the recruiting process keeps going on.
Well, when they had that huge game, I mean, Arizona State was off the grid until what were they in the national championship kind of Final Four at the end, or they were in the playoffs.
Yes.
And man, they showed really, really well in the playoffs. And that coach is kind of exciting and brash, and they're trying to get their kids paid also. But you're right. We just did a story. I can't remember. Tanner West was the one that really was interested in Kansas and Kansas State. We did some stuff on him last week.
Joseph Credit was the one, Arizona State.
Arizona State, yeah. So I do think they're going to be coming into this area. They are what Oklahoma State used to be. Oklahoma State used to come here and get some kids. Now it seems like it's Arizona State, Kansas, K-State. There's one of the biggest recruits in the country is Chase Calicut. And we kind of see and hear from him. And he's an interesting player. He is on a lot of people's boards. And even he'll say that Washington has become a player in the recruiting world. So here's my take. Are you ready? And you can agree to disagree. So what I think is this. You've got teams like Washington and Oregon and Michigan and Ohio State that could be connected to like Microsoft, Oracle, Nike, Barstool, whomever. This is where the recruiting game is going to hit. This is where this is all going to happen, is these big corporations. No disrespect to Raising Cane's, but you got one player in the state of Louisiana. And you can't go to that well every time. Alabama. Is there that many big corporations there that can drive the NIL money? I don't think there is. So you're going to see some of these maybe out west techie type of schools really start to pull kids from across the country because of the NIL money. Thoughts?
I don't think you're wrong. I think that, NILs, we're all still kind of figuring out. And I think that, number one, it's genius by these schools. Like, for example, Nike with Oregon. I mean, it makes perfect sense. Nike was started on Oregon's campus. It makes sense I think DeCorian Moore had got some type of deal with Nike whenever he ended up signing with Oregon. And then you look at some of the other companies you named, like helping.
Microsoft is connected to Washington. Microsoft. Bill Gates lives like 6 miles from the campus of Washington. And that NIL would be infinity.
Yeah. And that's where I think it helps kind of level the playing field a little bit. Because like you look at like USC, for an example. The big sell is like, oh, like you get that nice apartment overlooking Los Angeles and the beach, and that's kind of the pull for USC. And then you have the Hollywood stars that always seem to come out, and then Lincoln Riley and the flash of the offense. And then you have a school like Texas in Austin, who I believe like they have the big NIL deal with the car dealership, the exotic cars and different things like that. So
Texas A&M are always going to have money.
Yes,
always.
I think the big programs you're going to see still have money. It's a school like an LSU, where, not to say there's not a lot going on in Louisiana, but there's just not as much as you see in Texas, California, like some of these bigger states. And so the fact that like you see the West Coast have these type of tech companies or type of companies that can help with them with that, Louisiana, do you work with BP oil? Like,
Yeah.
like you got to find that kind of type of company to kind of work with your NIL. Now, how does that change college landscape of like, are you getting sponsorships on jerseys and all that stuff? So it'll be interesting to see how it all plays out down the road, but we are starting to see that throughout the college game.
I mean, Mississippi, Kentucky. I mean, like that South, I think the Southeast Conference is going to trend downward, and the Big Ten is going upward because they do pull from all that California and that Michigan, Ohio. It's huge, man. There's so many businesses over there. New York City, never going to have a football team. I mean, that whole East Coast, they're not even like relevant, really. But Central America, not Central America, but the middle America, like Nebraska, OU, and OU's kind of got oil, but you know, they might flatten out a little bit also. But it's interesting to see the economics of a state, not just, oh, we're a great football team, the economics of a state being able to pull kids.
The other thing is, like, you think about like state income tax. Like, these guys are getting paid NIL money. Like, you got to pay your taxes on it. Well, in the state of Texas, there is no state income tax. So like that, I wonder, like, you wonder how much that's going to play into effect as well as like picking a school.
It's going to be awesome. I can't wait to see how this all plays out. I mean, 10 years from now, I think the powers of college football, totally different. Totally different. Like it or not. Okay. Recruiting happening now. You're going to be at some, you know, the 7-on-7 is going wild right now. Under Armour camps coming through town. So we'll catch up with that too. So, all right. So Matt Malatesta, Jackson DePasquale, talking football, recruiting all the time. All the time. This is Matt Jackson. See you at the game.